Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of What's in My Room here on Delusions of Grandeur. My name is David Strege. I'm your host, and today I have some exciting things that I have unboxed, and they've just been sitting here waiting for me to show you. Now, I don't do it where I show the package or anything like that. That's stupid. I don't get that. But here is my stack of movies, and I have quite a few of them. I may have to get up and go grab one from over here, but yeah. So Walmart a couple of weeks ago, I ended up picking up. Let's see, if I remember correctly, I picked up Jurassic Galaxy, and this is directed by the Condolik brothers. Now, this says Planet of the Apes meets Jurassic World. They were supposed to be extinct. Very cool looking cover on it. I mean, it looks like it's got some pretty cool graphics on it. So in the near future, a ship of space explorers crash land on an unknown planet. They're soon met with some of their worst fears as they discover the planet is inhabited by monstrous dinosaurs. Now using only their wits and their will to survive, the astronauts must venture across the dangerous landscape to find their broken ship if they ever to hope to leave the planet alive. Now, I watched the film. I'll put my view on it on later, so I'm going to leave that for the mystery audience. But eBay, I finally picked up my copy of the Blu-ray of Lady Snowblood, and Lady Snowblood, Love Song of Vengeance from 1973 and 1974. And it's directed by Toshiya Fujita. And a young woman, played by Maiko Kaji, trained from childhood as an assassin and hell-bent on revenge for heinous crimes committed against her family, hacks and slashes her way to gory satisfaction in turn of the 20th century Japan, rampant with inventive violence and spectacular choreographed Swordplay, Toshaya Fujita's pair of influential cult classics, Lady Snowblood and Lady Snowblood Love Song of Vengeance, are bloody, beautiful extravaganzas composed of one elegant widescreen composition after another. The first Lady Snowblood was a major inspiration for Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill saga, and both of Fujita's films remain cornerstones of Asian action cinema. So there I have the Blu-ray 2K digital restorations of both films of Lady Snowblood. And Lady Snowblood, this came with this booklet here. Let me pull it out. Let me show you the whole thing, because it is kind of cool. If you can see it, it's got her in an umbrella kind of a thing. But on the back here is Flowers of Carnage, and it's about the transfers, production credits. So kind of goes through, and there's a poem here that I just want to. The morning has died, and the snow falls in mourning. A stray dog howls, and her get a clatter beneath her feet. She bears the weight of karma as she walks, gazing straight ahead, embracing the darkness with her umbrella sword. She walks the path, dividing life and death. So, it's definitely started to watch the first one. Looking forward to watching the rest of it. So let me put these down here so that I know that I have gone through them. Next, this just came recently, and I found it online. It was put out by Screen Factory, which is part of Shout Factory, and distributed somewhat by IFC Midnight, Yellow Veil Pictures. This is called I Trapped the Devil. And it's directed by Josh Lobo. Christmas is supposed to be a time for peace and joyful family reunions, but when Matt, played by A.J. Bowen, and his wife Karen, played by Susan Burke, show up unannounced at the home of his estranged brother Steve, played by Scott Poitras, to celebrate the holidays, they are instead greeted with a horrifying surprise. Trapped in Steve's basement is a man, but not just any man. Steve believes that his hostage is none other than the devil himself. As shock and skepticism turn into fear and paranoia, Matt and Karen find themselves facing a terrifying quandary. Is Steve dangerously unhinged? Or could the mysterious stranger really be the embodiment of evil incarnate? Either way, the stage is set for a true Christmas from hell in this provocative holiday horror. I Trapped the Devil. I have not watched that yet, so bear with me. Next, I have a film that's directed by Jason Paul Collin, and it was edited by Derek Carey, and he's from Wisconsin. But the film is put out by B&Boy Productions. It's got Brink Stevens, the Screen Queen, in it, as well as Judith O'Dea as Crystal Lake. And Judith O'Dea played in the original Night of the Living Dead. So this is an anthology of sorts, I think. Well, let's see. And it says that this is from the creator of Screaming in High Heels, The Rise and Fall of the Scream Queen era. One hot summer night, J.J. Tyler is alone for the first time in the house where his mother died. His wife has left town, already having suffered a nervous breakdown. His friends now fear the shadows he sees dancing around the house, and his claims of spiders crawling in his ears, demons opening windows and scratching from within the walls, may be his psyche cracking again. He runs from the house terrified, but something pulls him back. Sergeant Walton is tiring of JJ's calls for help. One thing's certain, they're all sure JJ is safe inside. Or is he? An intense horror thriller starring Chris Harder from Extraordinary Measures, Brink Stevens from the Slumber Party Massacre, Darcy Vanderhoof from Bad Movie Police, Tina Ona Poxtelis from Aswang and the Unearthing, Jared Howard from October Moon 1 and 2, Karen DeLue from Mark of the Devil 666, and Judith O'Dea from Night of the Living Dead. Like I said, safe inside. That was about $20 on Amazon. That's because this one and the following one, which is directed by Jason Paul Collum, this one is a 15th anniversary special edition with Tina Ona Pankstelis and Chris Harder in Five Dark Souls. And this is from B Boy Productions. According to this says it was filmed for a mere $400 over the winter and summer of 1996 and released to VHS in January of 1997. Five Dark Souls explored the wicked side of human nature and quickly became a cult item. Now available for the first time in a generation, this shot-on-video classic features a cast of indie actors like Tina Ona Paukstelis from Aswang, The Unearthing, Mick Winhoff, America's Deadliest Home Video, Karen DeLue from Safe Inside, Darcy Vanderhoof from October Moon, and it was written and directed by Jason Paul Collum, who directed Screaming in High Heels, and was so popular in the underground indie scene it spawned 2 sequels. Five Dark Souls didn't change the world, but it seemingly predicted it. So 3 years before Columbine permanently changed the lives of American teenagers, and a decade before bullying became a national conversation, Five Dark Souls sowed the evil seeds of darkened teenage psyches curious about murder. Led by domineering senior class president John Chris Harder from Extraordinary Measures, a group of high school students trick 3 unpopular classmates into the woods to make a snuff movie just to see what it's like to kill someone. After one of the teens is slaughtered in a bizarre ritual, the survivors must run for their lives without weapons for protection or other people for help. So there we have Five Dark Souls. Next, I have a film that I almost did not want to pick up because even though I liked the kids and the adults that reenacted them in this remake, this film went entirely the way of the original miniseries, and it is called It Chapter 2, And I'm sorry, folks, but that clown voice that is evidently voiced voiced by Bill Skarsgård or Skarsgård was annoying as all hell. And Andy Muschietti should have somewhat stayed away from the Stephen King universe. In fact, I think it was a horrible. It wasn't a horrible adaptation, but it was not the It that I knew. And I'm sorry, but the shaky clown and the jump scares were not enough to impress me. But that being said, I ended up picking up a copy of it for about $20 from my good friend Dane Kyle, because he was trying to get another film, and that was recent. I have not even opened it because I dread opening it, to be honest. But it was directed by Andy Muschietti. Evidently, it has several documentaries on it. The Summers of It, Chapter 1, You'll Float 2, and Chapter 2, It Ends on it. So, It Chapter 2, I did pick it up. Next, I have a film that was sent to me by Brandon. Thanks, Brandon Farmer. He's the guy who is behind Septum Sin versus the World, so giving a shout out to his channel. Check his shit out. But he decided to send me Give My Regards to Broad Street, which was directed by Peter Webb, but it was scripted by Paul McCartney himself and supposedly involves some of the top rockers from Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin. And the Beatles' Ringo Starr is involved in here somehow, some way. So looking forward to checking that out. Even though I know it gets a bad rap or whatnot. So yeah, gonna check that out eventually. Next, because I had October Moon 2, November Sun, I went back and picked up October Moon, which was directed by Jason Paul Collum. And the reason why I haven't watched these as of yet is because of the content of bisexuality that I'm not entirely comfortable with. So before I go into it, I figured I'd prepare myself. I have not seen them, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. This was put out by Tempe Entertainment at one point in time, so I'm glad that I did finally track that down. And that, let's see. Elliot, a shy young man, is shunned by his family and friends and fiance when he falls for another man, Corin. Unfortunately, Corin already has a significant other, and as Elliot finds himself rejected at every turn, he slips into paranoia and rage, and determined to get what he desires most, October Moon. So, yep. Next, I have two films that were directed by Andy Gilliam. And the first is called Bloodthirsty Butchers. And this was distributed by Video Cart. The Video Cart. And the rats are coming, the werewolves are here. And Bloodthirsty Butchers, an unusual alliance between Sweeney Todd, the local barber, and Maggie Lovett, who runs an innocuous appearing bake shop, has wreaked havoc on London and has also resulted in some of the most unusual meat pies available anywhere in town. The butcher's prime cuts are curious indeed, as we learn when some of Maggie's customers come to the shop for their pies, demanding the part they like the best. The final scene is a demonstration of the most imaginative butchery inconceivable by any other than the Bloodthirsty Butchers by cult director Andy Milligan. It's about 80 minutes in color and from 1970, and it's rated R. The cast is cast of John Miranda, Annabella Wood, Berwick Kaler, Jane Hillary, Michael Cox, Linda Driver, William Barrell, Jonathan Holt, Susan Cassidy, David Pike, Frank Eccles, Anne Arrow, Shirley Ashdown, Dixon Bain, and George Barry. And the rats are coming, the werewolves are here. The Moonies are a strange family living in a desolate section of 19th century England who manage to keep their secret from others. Monica, the weirdest member of the family, of whom is insanely jealous of Diana, has an affinity for rodents. She goes to the old rat man and purchases dozens of his specialties. Man-eating rats. Meanwhile, Pat Mooney is suffering from frequent attacks, but they cannot call a physician since they are a unique breed of werewolves. Just wait until you see the surprise Diana has for her husband. Directed by cult director Andy Milligan. It is in color. It is 92 minutes, and it was filmed in 1971. The cast comprises of Hope Stansbury, Jackie Scarvellis, Noel Collins, Joan Ogden, Douglas Fair, Jan Innes, Berwick Kaler, Chris Shore, George Clark, Lillian Frith, Berwick Kaler again, Chris Shore, George Clark, Lillian Frith. I guess that means that it was printed twice on there. That's a misprint. So, there we have it. A double feature of Andy Gilliam films on the video cart. Next, I have a Dark Side releasing Blu-ray. I think this is, this is just particularly Blu-ray of A Mata Negra. And A Mata Negra also means the Black Forest. This is from a Brazilian director by the name of Rodrigo Arregio. He has directed in an anthology called As Fabulous Negras, which also means the Black Fables, along with 3 other directors, including Jose Mojica Marins, in the mix. And he also did Noitra Le Chupacabras, The Night of the Chupacabras, as well as Mang Negro, or Negra, which I thought meant mud zombies. So, that being said, this film is, let's see. In the forest in the heart of Brazil, a young woman sees her life change, as well as the lives of everyone around her when she finds the lost book of Cipriano, whose magic, besides granting power and wealth to whoever possesses it, can release an apocalyptic evil upon the earth. When she accidentally unleashes the demonic powers of the book, Her world suddenly veers into blood-splattered pandemonium as young Carla now resorts to casting one satanic rite after another in her desperation to fix a long corpse-strewn trail of missteps. The film is bloody and bananas and uses its limited budget to craft a gorily, unhinged world of hell with a diabolically compromised innocent at its center. So, the film stars Carl Arago, Jackson Antunes, Clarissa Pinheiro, Francisco Casper. And there we have The Black Forest. Next, I have a film that was picked up for distribution from Hex Studios called Here Comes Hell. And no, it's not in their nicer format that For We Are Many was in, as well as some of their releases, but they did put a nice little label on here for it. And the director of this film was certainly a young director. Bloody mayhem ensues when a seance at a high-class dinner party accidentally opens a portal to hell. With its tongue firmly in its cheek, this darkly hilarious festival hit combines the charm and chills of classic horror with the outrageous gore factor of The Evil Dead. Evidently, it was an official selection for Fright Fest in London, an official selection at Screamfest. So it definitely had some festival laurels. If you look at the back here, and that's Hex Media's little symbol on the back there. So, I guess from the Daily Record, it says it makes for a wonderful celebration of the best of genre filmmaking. And so I ended up getting a copy of this through their website, and I believe I did have a discount for it. So thank you, Hex Media. Shout out to you guys. And Hex Media is a company that is run by Laurie Brewster, who is one of the top indie filmmakers in his field at this moment, because he puts his releases to the max. I mean, he really goes all out. I mean, he gets artwork for them, and he gives you a nice little package whenever you put money towards his shit, you know. So next I have Astro, and this was directed by Asif Akbar, put out by Avail Films and Film Life Factory, along with 18th Entertainment Productions. And the film stars Gary Daniels, Marshall Hilton, Louis Mandylor, Max Wesa, Christopher Sowerman, Omi Vedya, Randy Wayne, Luke G. Crosby, Orson Chaplin, and Courtney Akbar, with Dominic Swain and Michael Perry. I almost didn't recognize Michael Perry in here. He had black hair in here, and I think he had a mustache. So not seeing him right away was kind of interesting. But we had Astro. That was, and I did do a review on it out there. So definitely check the film out. if you can. Next I have, and I picked up Nicolas Cage in Richard Stanley's newest feature called The Color Out of Space. And that one was definitely unique. After a meteorite lands in the front yard of their farm, Nathan Gardner, played by Nicolas Cage, and his family find themselves battling a mutant extraterrestrial organism as it infects their minds and bodies, transforming their quiet rural life into a living nightmare. Based on the classic H.P. Lovecraft short story, Color Out of Space, is gorgeous, vibrant, and terrifying. And that was Dread Central putting out their, I guess, thoughts on the film. Next, I had picked up VFW, directed by Joe Begos. Evidently, this was put out by Fangoria, with Voltage Pictures, Media Finance Capital, Channel 83 Films, with and Good Wizard Stephen Lang, with RLJE Films as the distributor. We have William Sadler, Stephen Lang, Martin Kove, and Fred Williamson in this film. In the latest movie from the iconic Fangoria, a typical night for a group of war veterans at the local VFW turns into an all-out battle for survival when a teenage girl runs into the bar with a bag of stolen drugs. Suddenly under attack from a gang of punk mutants looking to get back what's theirs at any cost, the vets use every weapon they can put together to protect the girl and their VFW in the biggest fight of their lives. So there we have VFW. Next, I have never actually owned these three, but I'm glad that Brandon Farmer that you had these three to let go of. So I have Toy Story, Pixar's Toy Story, Disney's Pixar. Evidently, this was the 10th anniversary edition of Toy Story, the 2-disc, with Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. So then there was Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. So I know what those movies are about. If you do not, then I guess you're not really a movie fan. But I never actually owned these three. So thank you again, Brandon Septimson. I appreciate your friendship, and I'm glad that I was able to get a couple of these Disney films off of you before you went and sold the rest. The next film is a Criterion film. It's William Dieterle's The Devil and Daniel Webster. It was a recent purchase. I actually do have a copy of it. I believe it or not, I think I copied it from the library, which means made a backup copy, which was totally legal at the time. And to me, it's illegal when you actually take a copy of a backup like what I'm doing and then selling it for your own gain. Well, I have never done that. I have always made backup copies for my own purposes and just handed my copies to someone else that may need it or whatnot. Because to me, they still sell VHS recorders. Those you can still tape off of and record off of. So what's the difference between you recording something off of the TV for yourself and then making a copy of it for your own darn self? I mean, my God. So this is also known as All That Money Can Buy. And let me just, this is a film from 1941. It's about 106 minutes, and Jabez Stone is a hard-working farmer trying to make an honest living. But a streak of bad luck tempts him to do the unthinkable bargain with the devil himself. In exchange for 7 years of good fortune, Stone promises Mr. Scratch his soul. But when the troubled farmer begins to realize the error of his choice, he enlists the aid of the one man who might save him, the legendary orator and politician Daniel Webster. Directed with stylish flair by William Dieterle, The Devil and Daniel Webster brings the classic short story by Stephen Vincent Benet to life with inspired visuals, an unforgettable Oscar-winning score by Bernard Herrmann, and a truly diabolical performance from Walter Huston as the Devil. So there we have the Devil and Daniel Webster. So next I have a movie that evidently is directed by Woody Allen, which this is another shout out to my friend Brandon Farmer, who is also goes under the name Septum Sin versus the World, and this is called Take the Money and Run. It is an out of print Anchor Bay DVD. Here, Woody Allen stars as Virgil Starkwell in his first original feature film as writer, director, and star. Told in pseudo-documentary style that is simply hilarious, Virgil is shy and likable, has a high IQ, but resents authority and soon takes to crime, robbing gumball machines. Before reaching age 25, the extremely inept criminal is known to the police by 5 aliases. Virgil's criminal escapades only worsen after meeting the lovely laundress Louise, played by Janice Margolin, whom he desperately tries to impress. The two are soon involved in a love affair, and Virgil, determined to change his life with one bold stroke, attempts to rob a bank. The results are disastrous, leading to a non-stop parade of jokes as Virgil tries to make his way back to Louise. Does he continue his life of crime? Does he triumph over his adversaries? The answers lie in the surprising criminal crime climax of Take the Money and Run. So evidently that must be his first feature. I will definitely be checking that out eventually. So next, I have a double feature from this red carpet double feature, evidently put out by Lionsgate. And the first film on here, now both of these films involve Corey Feldman. The first is South Beach Academy, and the second is High School, or Rock and Roll High School Forever. And The first film is a wide-eyed virgin goes on babe watch when he enrolls in his big brother's beach academy. But it's not all fun and games. His wacky uncle has bet a rival that South Beach's female volleyball team is invincible, using the family's business as collateral. Now the brothers must embark on a quest for curves and the perfect serve to save the day in this sexy beach adventure. Directed by Joe Esposito. Filmed in 1995. Next, we have Rock and Roll High School Forever, which is directed by Deborah Brock. High schooler Jesse Davis, played by Corey Feldman, and his band, the Eradicators. No bad news when they see it, and the baddest news of all is the school's new VP of Discipline. Can the Eradicators eradicate the VP? Does rock and roll rule? It doesn't just rule, it totally dominates the entire student body in this outrageous prank-filled comedy. So there we have it. That is the sequel of Rock and Roll High School, which I do believe I do have a copy that I picked up of that particular film. This is the special widescreen edition of Rock and Roll High School, and this was directed by Roger Corman. This was put out by Concord New Horizons Corp. And there we have it, Rock and Roll High School, which is pretty much a music video for, shall I say, beat on the brat, beat on the brat, beat on the brat with a baseball bat. Oh yeah, baby. The Ramones. At least it's 3/4 a music video of it. Next, I have Small Town Folk, which it was distributed by Xenon Pictures, and it was directed by Peter Stanley Ward. Peter Stanley Ward. High above the tiny hamlet called Grockleton, perched on a scenic hillside, stands stately Beasley Manor. Governed by the ominous landlord, the area surrounding the manor is policed by his mutant minions such as Pooch, the cross-eyed marksman, and Dobbin, who drinks gasoline straight from the tank. Always on the lookout for females to involuntarily sire a Beasley heir, the landlord keeps a watchful eye over his property, brutally dispatching undesirables who dare set foot on it. When three unsuspecting travelers stumble upon the manor, the quiet countryside suddenly erupts in a torrent of blood and violence. Cruelly snared into a menacing hunt and chase, they discover that the woods are crawling with an assortment of killers, and one more vicious and bizarre than the last. Each one more vicious and bizarre than the last. The landlord looks forward to collecting 2 trophies and a future bride, unless his intended victims can beat him at his own game. And there we have it with Small Town Folk. Strangers beware, it's mating season in Grockleton. Fantastic British horror with a difference from Gorezone. Next, I have another Disney Pixar film that I picked up from Brandon. Ratatouille. I'd actually seen this in the theater, believe it or not, and it was directed by Brad Bird, or at least that's the screenwriter-director. put out by Walt Disney Studios and Pixar Animation Studios. The music was by Michael Giacchino. So there we have Ratatouille. And it's from the creators of Cars and The Incredibles. Next, I have from the director of the IP Man trilogy. And this stars Louis Koo, Lam Khatum, Wu Yu, Chris Collins, and a special appearance by Tony Jaa. It's called Paradox. And I picked it up for $3 at Big Lots. And it's directed by Yip Wai Shun. It's distributed by Well-Go USA Entertainment. Says when his daughter goes missing in Thailand, a Hong Kong cop, Louis Koo, teams up with local police Tony Jaa and Wu Yu to find her, but instead finds himself embroiled in a web of corruption and violence in this explosive thriller from famed action director Wilson Yip, IP Man trilogy, and SPL Killzone. The most brutal chapter in the SPL series. Evidently, this is part of the SPL. Whatever that is. Next, I have not opened this yet. This is Ouija Room. This was directed by Henry Kauto. Stars Joni Durian, John Hambrick, Erica Blackstock, Aaron R. Ryan. So, Henry Kauto did that one. An agoraphobic woman begins summoning spirits to be her friends while her brother is gone during the day. But the more time she spends with the spirits, the more it becomes clear they aren't so friendly after all. Next, I did pick this up from my friend Brandon. So thanks again for this. This is Monsters Inc., starring the voice of Billy Crystal and John Goodman. And it's from the creators of Toy Story. Originally, I did have this film, but then it was stolen from me. So I'm glad to have it back within my collection, and I hope to eventually collect Monsters Inc. University eventually to complete that particular series or whatnot. Next, I know that I had picked up a copy of Metropolis, but I did not have a copy of Memories. So Katsuhiro Otomo's Memories is an anthology of sorts. Katsuhiro Otomo, having to do with Akira and Raozen Z. Memories consists of 3 dazzling stories, each delivered with its own astonishing style. Magnetic Rose, directed by Koji Morimoto from The Animatrix, based on a manga short by Otomo, concerns 2 space travelers following a distress signal down into a magnificent world created by one woman's memories. In director Tensei Akamura's Wolf's Rain, Stink Bomb, a young chemist, accidentally transforms himself into an unstoppable biological weapon, set on a direct course for Tokyo. Atomo's own cannon fodder depicts a day in the life of a city where entire purpose is the firing of cannons at an unknown enemy. So there we have Memories, along with another copy of Osamu Tezuka's Metropolis. So I thought that was actually kind of neat. Even though I already have a special edition version of it. Now, supposedly, this is a bootleg, complete box set of Koyomonogatari, a bootleg of 12 episodes, evidently, of this series, but it's from Japan. And I've seen a bunch of these around, but apparently this is a bootleg series box set of this series. I have not checked it out yet, just to eventually check it out or whatnot, but looking forward to seeing what that is all about. That's part of the series part of stuff. But anyways, next I have Brad Twigg's, one of Brad Twigg's newest anthologies, and it's called Harvest of Horrors. While on their way to a Halloween bonfire, Seth, played by Julio Bena Fernandez, and Lori, played by Yasmin Kuda, break down alongside a rural back road. Miles from civilization and without cell service, they set out in search of a gas station. To pass the time, they tell each other 5 gruesome tales of ghastly horror. But unbeknownst to them, the real horror is lurking in the shadows, and it has an unquenchable thirst for blood. Put out by Funky Monkey Films, where the seeds of your nightmares are planted and come to life. Next, I have Brad Twigg's other anthology that he put out recently. It's called Frames of Fear 3. Also put out by Fuzzy Monkey Films. That's it. Fuzzy Monkey Films. The Frames of Fear series continues with 5 new tales of blood-soaked video violence that are sure to give you analog nightmares. A crazed alcoholic director and his hapless assistant reanimate the corpse of a notorious serial killer in Back Again. While searching for his missing friend, a man discovers a book with a dark secret in Demon Eyes. Next, Tarby becomes the were-dog, She-Wolf, after a mad scientist performs a bizarre experiment on her. Then a married couple have a happy anniversary and celebrate with the gift of murder. Finally, an artist discovers a new medium for her gruesome paintings in Slashed Portrait. So there we have Frames of Fear 3. It's still not safe to use the VCR. So there we have Fuzzy Monkey Films, another anthology. Next we have 2 more that I had picked up from Brandon recently. So Disney Pixar's Cars 2 which was directed by Brad Lewis. Definitely looking forward to checking out Cars 2. From the creator of Cars and Toy Story 3 comes a new laugh out loud, heartwarming adventure geared for the entire family. Star race car Lightning McQueen, Owen Wilson, and the incomparable tow truck Mater, Larry the Cable Guy, take their friendship on the road from the Radiator Springs to exciting new places when they head overseas to compete in the first ever World Grand Prix to determine the world's fastest car. But the road to the championship is filled with plenty of potholes, detours, and hilarious surprises when Mater gets caught up in an intriguing adventure of his own, international espionage. So there we have Cars 2. Next I have Disney Pixar's A Bug's Life Collector's Edition. Which this was directed by John Lasseter. Journey inside the world of bugs in this epic of miniature proportions, crawling with imaginative characters, hilarious laughs, and colorful animation. Walt Disney Pictures presents a presentation of a Pixar Animation Studios film. A Bug's Life will delight everyone, young, old, or six-legged. So there we have A Bug's Life. So yeah, I had not entirely picked some of these up yet, and I'm just glad to be able to share some of these with you. I think that's all that I'll put in this episode because I have a ton to show you coming up. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Thanks for letting me show you what's in my room. So thank you so much. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. I'll definitely have some more cool stuff for you next video coming up. So thank you so much.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?